The call came during my lunch break at the hospital. Mrs. Bennett, this is Principal Hayes from Riverside Elementary. There's a situation with Lucas. Could you come in right away? My pulse spiked. Years in the ER had taught me how to handle crises. But when it came to my 7-year-old son, logic went out the window. Is Lucas okay? He's safe, the principal assured me, though something in her tone made my stomach twist. But we have someone here claiming to be his mother. Given the intensity of the situation, we'd appreciate your immediate presence. I went cold. I already knew who it was. She says her name is Rebecca Bennett. Rebecca, my sister-in-law. Of course. I was already grabbing my bag. Do not let her take him anywhere. I have sole custody. His records confirm it. 20 minutes later, I stormed through Riverside Elementary's doors, still in my scrubs. Through the office window, I spotted Rebecca pacing, heels clicking against the tile, her perfectly styled blonde hair bouncing with each agitated turn. She was in one of her usual look how composed I am outfits, probably hoping to contrast with my work uniform. Principal Hayes met me at the entrance, her expression tight. Mrs. Bennett, Sarah, thank you for coming so quickly. This is unprecedented. Where's Lucas? Safe in the counselor's office. We followed custody dispute protocols, but she hesitated. Your sister-in-law's claims are unusual. Rebecca turned at the sound of my voice. Her sharp blue eyes narrowed. Finally, she declared, tell them, Sarah. Tell them how you've been playing mother with my son. The words hit like a slap, but I kept my voice even. Rebecca, what are you doing? Reclaiming what's mine, she said, chin high, tone dripping with self-righteousness. Lucas belongs with his real mother. You've had him long enough. Principal Hayes cleared her throat. Mrs. Bennett, Rebecca, our records show Sarah as Lucas's legal parent and sole guardian. Documents can be faked, Rebecca snapped. I gave birth to him. I just let Sarah raise him while I was away. But I'm back, and I want my son. The absurdity would have been laughable if it weren't so disturbing. Rebecca, I said carefully, you were at my baby shower. You held my hand in the delivery room. More lies, she hissed. You turned everyone against me. Even my own nephew doesn't recognize me because of your manipulation. Principal Hayes touched my arm. Sarah, given the situation, we may need to call the police. No need, Rebecca interjected, pulling out her phone. My lawyer will clear this up. Then her gaze darkened. Did you think you could just steal my life? First my brother, then my son. That's when I saw it, her hands shaking, a slight slur in her words. Was she drunk? On something? This was worse than I thought. I have the birth certificate, I said firmly. Hospital records. Pregnancy photos. Lucas's entire life is documented. Fabricated. Her voice rose. You're nothing but a glorified babysitter. Lucas deserves his real mother, not some overworked nurse. The disdain in her voice when she said nurse was unmistakable. Rebecca had always looked down on my career, as if scrubs made me less of a Bennett. I exhaled slowly. The school has cameras, Rebecca. They've recorded everything. Do you really want to continue with these claims? She faltered, just for a second. Then, rallying, cameras don't prove who gave birth. I have. Memories. Evidence. Mrs. Bennett, Principal Hayes said, her patience thinning, if you continue this, we'll have no choice but to involve law enforcement. Rebecca's face twisted. You're all against me, just like everyone else. But I'll prove it. I'll show you all. She grabbed her bag, stormed toward the door, then turned back, eyes burning. This isn't over, Sarah. Lucas belongs with me, you'll see. As the door slammed shut behind her, Principal Hayes let out a breath. In 20 years, I've never seen anything like that. Should we call the police? I nodded, adrenaline wearing off as my hands started to shake. Yes, and I need to call my lawyer. Something is seriously wrong. She's never claimed to be Lucas's mother before. Mom? I turned. Lucas stood in the doorway, hair rumpled, his small face tight with confusion. Was that Aunt Rebecca? She was saying weird things. I pulled him close, breathing in his familiar scent of crayons and grape juice. Yes, honey, Aunt Rebecca isn't feeling well right now, but everything's okay. But as I held my son, I knew this was far from over. Rebecca was unraveling, and whatever came next, I had to be ready. The next few days blurred into a storm of legal meetings and security upgrades. Maria Gonzalez, my lawyer, wasted no time cutting to the heart of the matter. Rebecca's actions at the school constitute attempted custodial interference, he said, her eyes scanning the security footage on her laptop. The cameras caught everything: her false claims, her erratic behavior, and what looks like intoxication. We can file for a restraining order immediately. I pressed my fingers to my temple, exhausted. But why now? Why claim to be Lucas's mother after 7 years? Maria shut her laptop with a decisive click. From what you've told me about her divorce and behavior changes, she could be having some kind of breakdown. But our priority is keeping Lucas safe. That evening, as I helped Lucas with his homework, my phone buzzed. A text from my former mother-in-law, Patricia. Rebecca showed up at my house. She's making wild claims about Lucas. What is going on? Before I could respond, another message appeared. She has hospital photos. She says they're from Lucas's birth. Sarah, I'm worried about her. A cold weight settled in my chest as I called Patricia. She answered on the first ring. Sarah, thank God. Rebecca's not making sense. She showed me these photos, but they're clearly edited. Patricia, she went to Lucas's school claiming she was his mother. We're involving lawyers now. Silence. Then a quiet, shaken breath. Oh dear God. I was afraid something like this might happen. Since her divorce, she's been different, fixated on family, like she's trying to rewrite history. What do you mean? Patricia hesitated. She turned her guest room into a nursery, started collecting baby clothes, toys. I thought maybe she was considering adoption, but now. The chill in my spine turned to ice. Patricia, listen to me. She could try to take Lucas. I know, dear. That's why I called. She made copies of all our old family photos, even the ones from when you were pregnant. I think she's altering them. After we hung up, I went straight to Lucas's room. He was curled up on his bed, flipping through the photo album I'd made him, the one filled with memories of his dad. Mom, his voice was small. Why did Aunt Rebecca say she's my real mom? You told me about the day I was born. Dad took so many pictures. I sat beside him, wrapping my arm around his shoulders. Sometimes grown-ups get confused when they're going through something hard. But no matter what Aunt Rebecca says, the truth doesn't change. You grew in my belly, and your dad was so excited to meet you that he took hundreds of pictures. Lucas chewed his lip. Is she gonna try to take me away? My heart twisted. No, sweetheart. Never. I promise. But that night, long after Lucas had fallen asleep, an email arrived that made my blood run cold. From Rebecca Bennett. Subject: Pro oath. I'm taking back what's mine. Attached were dozens of altered photos, my pregnancy pictures, my hospital moments, all of them clumsily manipulated. My face erased, replaced with hers. I forwarded everything to Maria. Her response came within minutes. Save everything. Document everything. I'm filing the restraining order first thing tomorrow. The next morning, I dropped Lucas off at school, double-checking with the office that no one but me was allowed to pick him up. As I walked back to my car, I noticed a silver Mercedes idling across the street. Rebecca. She rolled down the window, a slow, deliberate movement. Her smile was all sharp edges. You can't keep him from me forever, Sarah. I have proof now. Everyone will see the truth. Rebecca, you need help. These delusions about Lucas. Delusions? She laughed, the sound brittle, unhinged. I have evidence. Photos. Documentation. Even a DNA test. My stomach dropped. What DNA test? Her grin widened. Amazing what you can do with a strand of hair and a private lab. Results should be in any day now. Then everyone will know you're the liar. I pulled out my phone and hit record. So you're admitting to illegally obtaining my son's DNA. Rebecca's expression twisted in rage. My son. Mine. She threw the car into gear and sped off, tires screeching. I called Maria immediately. She stole a DNA sample from Lucas, I said, my voice shaking. She's planning to use it against me. That's illegal, Maria said sharply. And it strengthens our case. This is escalating fast. Has she been following you? I thought of the silver Mercedes that had appeared far too often lately. Yes, I think so. Document everything. Take photos when you see her car. Save every message. We need to shut this down before she does something worse. She was right. because that afternoon the school called again. Rebecca had tried to pick up Lucas. She had stormed into the front office, waving what she claimed were court documents. Thankfully, the staff followed protocol and refused to release him. By the time I arrived, Lucas was in tears. She yelled at Ms. Thompson. He sobbed into my shirt, said she was calling the police. "Mom, I'm scared." I held him tight, swallowing down my own fear. "The school is keeping you safe, honey, and I promise I won't let anything happen to you." As we walked to the car, I noticed a manila envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. Inside were more altered photos, and a note scrawled in Rebecca's sharp, slanted handwriting. "I can prove he's mine. Just wait for the DNA test. Then everyone will know what you did. You stole my life, Sarah. My brother, my son, everything. But I'm taking it back. All of it." I took pictures of everything before sealing the contents in an evidence bag, just as Maria had advised. Rebecca was unraveling, and fast. And I had a terrible, sinking feeling that the worst was still coming. Because somewhere, in the shadows of her twisted mind, Rebecca was already putting a far more dangerous plan into motion, one that would force me to make an impossible choice to protect my son. Here's the rewritten version of your story segment with a stronger emotional pull and smoother pacing. 3 days later, everything came crashing down. I was halfway through my night shift when my phone erupted with notifications, security alerts, frantic texts from my neighbor, and a voicemail from the police. My stomach dropped. Rebecca had broken into my house. The security footage told the story in eerie silence. At 2 a.m., she slipped through a back window, moving cautiously toward Lucas's room. A backpack slung over her shoulder, papers clutched in her hand. But she hadn't accounted for the silent alarms. The moment she stepped inside, the system alerted both me and my neighbor, a retired cop who had been keeping an eye out. She called 911 before Rebecca could take another step. The police arrived just in time. They found her standing beside Lucas's bed, reaching for him. By the time the officers burst in, she was clutching her fake documents, screaming her delusions to the world. "He's my son. I have proof. Look at the DNA test." By the time I made it home, the flashing red and blue lights bathed my house in harsh reality. Inside, Officer Martinez briefed me as I stared at the pile of evidence on my kitchen counter: altered birth certificates, forged custody papers, and a shoddy Photoshop attempt at a DNA test. "She's being held for attempted kidnapping," Martinez said. "And given her condition, a psychiatric evaluation is in motion." Lucas had slept through it all, oblivious to how close danger had come. But the next morning, over breakfast, he frowned at the lingering police presence outside. "Mom," his voice was small, "why were the police here?" I forced a smile, brushing his hair back. "Just making sure we're safe, sweetheart." Maria called soon after. "Rebecca's officially undergoing psychiatric evaluation." Patricia gave a statement detailing her erratic behavior. "With the stalking, break-in, and fake documents, it's clear she's been spiraling for a long time." "Will she go to jail?" "More likely, she'll be committed for treatment. And a restraining order. It's permanent." Later that day, Patricia visited. She looked older, the weight of everything pressing down on her. "I should have seen it sooner," she murmured, watching Lucas play in the backyard. After her divorce, she kept talking about reclaiming what was rightfully hers. "I thought she meant her marriage. I never imagined." "She was always jealous," she continued. "Of you, of David, of the life you built. When David died, it was like she couldn't stand that you still had a piece of him." She convinced herself that taking Lucas would fix something inside her. The weeks that followed were a blur of court dates, legal filings, and psychiatric assessments. Rebecca was officially diagnosed with a severe mental break and committed to a facility. The restraining order was upheld. The fake documents and stalking attempts, hard evidence of her unraveling state, ensured she wouldn't be able to come near Lucas again. Months passed. The fear slowly ebbed, replaced by routine and cautious relief. Then, 6 months later, I got a letter from Rebecca's therapist. She wanted to apologize. Maria and I discussed it at length, and in the end, I agreed to a supervised video call. Rebecca looked different, smaller somehow, stripped of the manic energy that once fueled her obsession. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet. "I'm sorry," she said, eyes downcast. "I know now that what I did was wrong. After my divorce, watching you raise David's son, it consumed me. I convinced myself that taking Lucas would fix everything. But I wasn't well. I swallowed hard. You could have taken him that night. Her face crumpled. I know, and I will never forgive myself for that. It wasn't a perfect ending. There was no neat resolution to undo the past. But as the months stretched into years, Rebecca stayed in treatment and eventually moved out of state, starting fresh somewhere far away. Lucas still asks about her sometimes. I tell him the truth that his Aunt Rebecca got very sick, but is getting the help she needs. The security cameras still record. The alarms still stand ready. But now, they're just precautions, not lifelines. Because in the end, love, real love, not obsession, proved stronger than any lie. Stronger than fear. Lucas is 10 now. And sometimes, when I see him smile, his father's smile, I remind myself of this. We don't protect the ones we love by holding them too tightly. We protect them by standing strong, by choosing truth over fear, and by never letting the past dictate the future.